William and Charles now furious that they're coming back? I imagine William is. Was King Charles kind of excited?
Is this a humiliation?
Are they coming back with their tails between their legs?
Well,
are they coming back and are they admitting that the American dream didn't quite work out?
He's the poster boy for privacy. He's betrayed the privacy of his closest family. The truth, the real truth, not my truth, is that Harry doesn't have a problem with the press.
Manipulate, blackmail, bully, gaslight, and force the palace into having him.
To destroy me.
Yeah, nobody set out to destroy you. You destroyed yourselves in this country with your ludicrous, hypocritical behaviour. The truth be told, what you just said is complete and utter garbage. Harry and Meghan's romance, engagement and marriage were all greeted with ecstatic joy by the British media, the public and the royal family that they've all now abandoned.
Are William and Charles now boiling with anger over this comeback? If anyone's likely simmering with frustration, it has to be William. Meanwhile, what about King Charles? Was he secretly relieved or quietly hopeful about this return? The real twist is that the decision for their return wasn't some sudden royal announcement. It had been quietly decided long before the world even got wind of it. According to The Telegraph, the announcement came with some intriguing language that really makes you pause. They described the new living arrangement as a private, non-royal residence. What does that even mean? And then there's this revelation: no plans to resume royal duties. It's almost as if they are coming back but officially stepping away from the spotlight. The king was reportedly informed on a Sunday but didn't get a say, he was told, not consulted. This paints a vivid picture of a decision already sealed behind closed doors. Now, take a moment to digest this. They will live in a private, non-royal residence outside London. Have you noticed how they carefully avoided calling it a palace or even a royal home?
Together. I did say that Sussexes are desperate. Desperate to come back to Britain, desperate to find some purpose in life, desperate to get royal approval again so they can somehow be revalidated.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. Finally, before I let you go, Andrew, King Charles could soon reveal whether his relationship with Prince Harry has been genuinely repaired, with the Duke of Sussex set to return to the UK next month.
There's a clear boundary drawn here, living in the country, yes, but distinctly outside the working circle of the royal family. No official engagements, no formal duties. That line alone could rewrite the entire narrative about their relationship with the crown and the public in the coming months. It's a subtle but powerful distinction, signaling a kind of royal twilight zone between being inside yet apart. And then there's the balcony, the iconic Buckingham Palace balcony. Meghan Markle's appearances here are a story in themselves. She's only stepped out there twice, ever. The first was on the 9th of June 2018, just weeks after her wedding to Prince Harry. Picture it, Meghan in a delicate pale pink Carolina Herrera dress, topped off with a striking Philip Tracy hat. At that moment, the crowd was still adjusting to seeing her as part of this grand institution. Her smile was glowing, a mixture of joy and a hopeful anticipation about her role in this ancient tradition.
Meghan Markle and hopeless Harry's dismally low standards. This has been an extraordinarily disastrous week, during which the increasingly pathetic prince destroyed what little was left of his fast diminishing reputation and sent his manipulative wife into an unprecedented rage. The difficult Duchess is reported to be beyond furious after Harry suffered abject humiliation as his self-styled role as the heroic dragon slayer of the British press descended into excruciating farce. Useless old ginger nuts didn't just fail in his bid to sue the Daily Mail, he fell flat on his dumbstruck face as his fantastically feeble case was all but laughed out of.
Fast forward to the 8th of June 2019, her second appearance. By then, Meghan wore a sophisticated navy ensemble by Claire Waite-Keller, the very designer who crafted her stunning wedding dress. It was a very different scene. Little Archie was only about a month old. Though Meghan smiled during the flypast, there was an unmistakable weariness in her eyes, a quiet uncertainty that contrasted with the earlier radiance. And after this, that was it. No more balcony moments. 2 appearances, a year apart, and then silence. To put that into perspective, consider the Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton. She has appeared on this very balcony numerous times during major royal occasions, signaling her continual active role in public royal life. Meghan's 2 appearances, followed by complete absence, tell a story all on their own, one of fluctuating inclusion, shifting roles, and a carefully managed public image that hints at deeper complexities behind the palace doors.
This nation and people have spoken in their many thousands, saying that they don't want Harry and Meghan on that balcony. And they have a right to not want them on the balcony, because Meghan and Harry didn't only lie about the family, they lied about the reception that the British people accorded her.
The story of Meghan's short-lived presence on the iconic Buckingham Palace balcony is much more intricate once you start peeling back the layers. While other royals have a history of gracing that balcony for major events over many years, Meghan's appearances were surprisingly few, and the reasons behind that are far from simple. It wasn't the result of a public clash or loud disagreement. Instead, it emerged quietly and formally through an official statement directly from the palace. The turning point happened on the 6th of May 2022, right in the heart of the Platinum Jubilee celebrations. This event was a grand moment, commemorating the Queen's incredible 70 years on the throne, a spectacle watched by millions worldwide.
I suspect if the royal family revealed everything they know about Meghan and Harry, the 2 grifters might be considering looking toward other planets on which to live.
The palace made it clear that the
Even if this were a normal family holiday, I struggle to understand why anyone would invite an individual to join them on it whom they were sufficiently convinced had behaved in a manner so revolting that they had removed his income, titles and home and publicly humiliated him in front of the entire world.
On this key date, the palace clarified their stance on who qualified to stand on that famous balcony. The announcement was clear: only working members of the royal family would be included. Though no names were directly mentioned, the message was unmistakable. It sent ripples through royal circles and the public alike. So what did this mean in practice? During the Jubilee's all-important flypast, instead of joining the close-knit group on the balcony, Meghan and Harry were notably absent from that vantage point. Instead, cameras caught them inside the palace, peering through windows, a quiet but striking physical separation from the other senior royals. This moment was loaded with significance, signaling a changed status that extended beyond just one event. This shift was not a one-time thing. It established a new pattern. Fast forward to May of the following year, 2023. During the King's coronation, arguably one of the most significant royal events in recent times, Prince Harry showed up, but Meghan was not by his side. He was seated among the general guests, away from the spotlight reserved for senior royals, and afterwards, he departed back to the United States. This time, neither of them made an appearance on that now symbolic balcony.
Meghan has moved him over, and he has paid the price of, he's betrayed his family, he's betrayed his country, he's betrayed his own interest.
Is an utterly damning piece of writing. She writes, "I'm afraid Cookie Queens is just the latest proof that when it comes to creating films or TV that people want to watch, the Sussexes are talentless. Unless, of course, they are pulling back the royal curtain and talking about their very favourite subject themselves."
The implications run deep. This balcony, which once stood as a symbol of unity and celebration for the family, became a visual gauge of royal standing and official roles. The decision was not about one specific incident, but rather reflected a broader policy, formally put into the public record and guiding how future royal appearances unfolded. And importantly, there has been no public reversal of this stance to date. This fact adds a heavy weight to any discussion about Meghan and Harry's potential return to a more traditional royal footing, because belonging to this circle includes more than titles and recognition. It is about how visible and involved you are in these historical moments. Making the story even more tangible is the issue of Frogmore Cottage, the Sussexes' former British home. Nestled within the sprawling Frogmore estate in Windsor Home Park, this Grade 2 listed property with its 5 bedrooms was once a symbol of the couple's connection to the UK and the royal family. But here too, the narrative deepens, revealing the complexities of their relationship with the palace and how their role within the royal structure has evolved over time. The tale of Frogmore Cottage will take us even closer to understanding the tangible realities behind the headlines. Back in 2019, right after their fairy tale wedding, the Queen generously gifted Harry and Meghan their very own residence, a charming cottage nestled close to Windsor.
Diana refused, and finally she elected to go into therapy, and then she started to turn her life around, spiritually and emotionally and constructively.
This wasn't just any place. It became their first and only home as a married couple while they continued fulfilling their royal duties. It was where they built their new life together amidst the demands of their official roles, a peaceful sanctuary with a distinctly royal touch. But everything changed when they made the bold decision to step back from royal life and move across the ocean to the United States. Suddenly, the cottage wasn't just a cozy family home. It became a symbol of a much larger, more complex question. Where exactly did Harry and Meghan fit within the royal family moving forward? Fast forward to June 2023, and they handed the keys back to the crown, signaling the end of an era. But what happened next only deepened the mystery. Since then, reports suggest the cottage has sat untouched, completely unused, almost frozen in time. It hasn't been reassigned to another family member, nor repurposed for a new royal function. Instead, this elegant 5-bedroom home on Crown land remains silent, its future tangled in uncertainty. Imagine it an exquisite historic property meticulously preserved as a listed building, yet now devoid of life and activity. The rooms that once buzzed with royal energy, the nursery meticulously set up for their child. The spaces furnished and filled with laughter are now eerily quiet. The sounds of grand royal events echo faintly through Windsor, but inside those walls, time seems to stand still. 3 whole years have passed, and the public is still left wondering who will call this place home next. No permanent resident has been announced, and no official plans have been revealed for the cottage's future. Intrigue deepened when whispers surfaced about an offer to Prince Andrew in 2023. He reportedly declined moving into the cottage, opting instead for accommodation elsewhere on the Sandringham estate. This decision sparked a wave of speculation, with many trying to connect the dots back to Harry and Meghan's departure. But it's vital to separate whispers from facts here. There's no concrete evidence that his choice was influenced by their previous occupancy. The cottage's story remains open-ended, a silent chapter waiting to be written, a royal residence full of history, but currently enveloped in quiet uncertainty. Let's take a moment to step back and really dive into the story behind this unique home. Frogmore Cottage isn't just any old house. It carries a rich legacy and a complex history that few truly appreciate. The exact reasons behind why the property was eventually declined remain a mystery to the public. No official statements have fully clarified what led to that decision. But when you look closely at the timeline and the immense costs behind this building, it paints a picture filled with unexpected twists and turns. Originally, this charming little cottage dates all the way back to the early 1800s, built during the era of Queen Charlotte. Back then, it wasn't the spacious, elegant place you might picture today. Historical records show it began as a modest, much smaller home. Over the years, particularly by the turn of the 21st century, it had shifted function and was divided into several separate living spaces. It essentially became a cluster of homes for estate staff, a close-knit community where multiple families lived under the same roof but maintained their own separate entrances and kitchens. It was a humble setting, very far from what we now associate with a royal residence. Fast forward to 2019, the property underwent a sweeping transformation, sparking new life into those old walls. The cottage was completely renovated and restored back into a single, larger family home designed specifically for Harry and Meghan. It was clear this was no simple facelift. The renovation was thorough, modernizing the space to suit a young, growing family preparing a new chapter of their lives. The cost of these renovations was staggering, clocking in at an eye-watering £2.4 million. And here's where things get even more interesting. The bill was initially covered by the sovereign grant, which, to put it plainly, is public money allocated to the royal household. This contrast is fascinating. A house that was originally constructed for just a few £100s to build eventually required millions to transform it into a contemporary family residence, raising questions about costs and responsibility. But here's an essential piece of the puzzle that often gets overlooked. Harry and Meghan did, in fact, repay those renovation costs. In September 2020, the Crown officially received the £2.4 million, with part of that sum reportedly credited against the rent and other expenses they owed. This repayment is recorded in official accounts, which completely shifts the commonly held narrative around the financing. It wasn't a one-sided gift or an unpaid debt, but rather a settled arrangement. Beyond the money, another important detail shapes the story of Frogmore Cottage, the legal status of the home itself. Contrary to popular belief, Harry and Meghan did not outright own the property. Instead, they held what's legally called a license to occupy, a kind of permission to live there without the rights of ownership. This distinction means Frogmore Cottage remained under the Crown's umbrella, never truly becoming a private asset of theirs. This subtle but significant difference has a profound impact on interpreting what their residency really represented and how the property fits within the broader royal estate. It wasn't just about a house, it was about tradition, legal frameworks, and the complexities of royal living in the modern world. Their right to live in Frogmore Cottage was never absolute. It was always more of a temporary privilege than full ownership. The Sussexes' permission to occupy the home was set to expire in March 2022. As that deadline approached, reports surfaced that they had requested an extension in February of that year, hoping to continue living there. However, no official renewal was ever confirmed or announced publicly. Then, in January 2023, things took a noticeable turn. Following the release of Prince Harry's memoir, media outlets began circulating stories claiming the couple had been asked to vacate Frogmore Cottage. The situation escalated rapidly, and by June 2023, the Sussexes had officially handed back the keys. Understanding this timeline is crucial to unpacking the surrounding speculation. While many theories have floated around, connecting the end of their stay directly to the memoir's publication, the facts on record present a more straightforward narrative. There was a pre-existing agreement granting them the right to live in the cottage, an attempted renewal that wasn't finalized, and ultimately, the conclusion of that arrangement. Whether the timing was coincidental or influenced by external factors like the memoir release is open to interpretation. It isn't a proven causal relationship. What remains indisputable is that Frogmore Cottage never ceased to be Crown property. The Sussexes' use of the home was governed by this occupancy agreement, which allowed residence but did not transfer ownership. They weren't in a position to treat the house as a permanent, personal asset. When that arrangement ended, the question naturally turned to where Harry, Meghan, and their children might stay when they next visit the UK. It's important to remember that being granted use of Frogmore Cottage was similar to their eligibility to appear on the palace's balcony for official events. It was a privilege connected to their ties with the royal family, not a right of permanent possession. After they moved out, reports on July 10 revealed a warm, private gathering hosted by King Charles III and Queen Camilla at Highgrove House. This was described as a meaningful family reunion, one of the most significant private occasions in recent years. Following that, the family paid a visit to Althorp, the childhood home of Princess Diana in Northamptonshire, invited as guests a visit steeped in emotional significance and family history. This evolving story highlights not just where the Sussexes reside, but the delicate and ongoing nature of their connection to the royal family and their legacy within it. For a few peaceful days, Meghan and Harry found themselves staying at a place rich with personal history, a sprawling estate directly connected to Harry's late mother, Princess Diana. This wasn't just any location. It was Althorp, the ancestral family home of Earl Spencer, Diana's brother. The significance of this place cannot be overstated. To the Sussexes, it represented a deeply emotional link to their past, a sanctuary where family memories live on, nestled within the rolling English countryside. Then, as if opening a window into this private world, Meghan shared a series of photos on social media from their summer visit. Among these images, one in particular drew widespread attention: Harry walking alongside their children, Archie and Lilibet, along a serene hedge-lined path within the estate, each child holding delicate flowers. The symbolism was impossible to miss. For those who know the story, Diana's resting place lies on a small island in the middle of the lake at Althorp, a peaceful, almost secret spot that few outsiders ever see. Instantly, viewers connected the serene setting, the flowers in the children's hands, and the gentle walk with the idea that these were moments connected to Diana's grave. But here's where the story takes an interesting twist. Nowhere in the official captions or statements did anyone explicitly say that Archie and Lilibet were visiting their grandmother's grave. The photos themselves were deliberately left open to interpretation, allowing viewers to imbue them with their own meaning. It was a subtle yet powerful choice. By not spelling things out, the images invited a deep emotional response without crossing lines of clarity or privacy. This balance between suggestion and ambiguity is what made the posts so captivating, sparking conversation and curiosity across social media and beyond. The effect was clear. What could have been just a simple family holiday snapshot transcended into something far more complex and charged with significance. The conversations shifted from casual admiration to passionate debate. One source close to the royal family shared that the king himself was genuinely taken aback. Another insider, typically neutral and reserved, confided that even those who usually steer clear of commenting on Harry and Meghan felt uneasy. They expressed the sentiment, "Some family moments are simply too sacred to share." Those words cut to the heart of the controversy. This wasn't just about one photograph or one moment. At its core, this unease pointed to an ongoing struggle surrounding the boundaries between public attention and private life within royal circles. The broader issue is clear. How does a high-profile family maintain privacy when even their most intimate moments risk becoming global headlines? For Harry and Meghan, this question has repeatedly surfaced, shaping their decisions about what to share and what to protect fiercely. Reports now suggest that the Sussexes are getting ready to spend more time. After spending years building a life in the United States, Harry and Meghan's move back to the UK with their children naturally sparked a tough, complex conversation about family relationships, how they would look, how they would work, and what challenges might lie ahead. One moment stands out as a flashpoint in these delicate family dynamics, a visit that quickly took a difficult turn, tied deeply to a place loaded with personal meaning, the family estate connected to Harry's late mother, Diana. That visit wasn't just another family gathering. It touched on raw emotions, history and memories still very much alive. Shortly after the visit, photographs surfaced, shared widely with the public, and that stirred the pot even further. Suddenly, a private family moment was transformed into a public spectacle, sparking endless speculation about how different family members felt about the visit and its exposure. Among these swirling rumors were stories about the reaction of Earl Spencer, Diana's brother. Some reports suggested he was unfazed by the media attention, but these claims, like many media whispers, should be approached with caution unless verified directly, because family matters are often far more nuanced than headlines suggest. What adds another fascinating layer to this story is the unique nature of Althorp itself. It's not only a beloved family home, but also a significant heritage site, welcoming visitors from around the world. This dual role means that attention, whether from the media or the public, carries both emotional and financial weight. On one hand, increased public interest can boost the estate's profile and revenues. On the other, it blurs the lines between private grief and public fascination. This contrasts sharply with the royal family's traditional approach, which emphasizes discretion, privacy, and a carefully managed public image. Here lies the crucial insight. Those now infamous photographs of Althorp, as controversial as they seemed to some, did not create the current climate around Harry and Meghan. There's no real evidence to suggest they were the original cause of any tension. Yet, they likely heightened apprehension and served as a stark reminder of just how fragile private family time can be, how it can be pulled into a larger public story in a heartbeat. That is especially important as reports suggest Harry and Meghan may be preparing for a more permanent return to Britain, a place where the blurred boundary between the private and public has always made family life complex. This isn't just about where they lived before, it's about what kind of future they can carve out in the UK, balancing their desire for normalcy with the relentless interest that surrounds them. Rumours swirl that they are exploring options for a private residence outside the hustle and bustle of London life, far from the grandeur of palaces but closer to the roots that run deep in British soil. The real question that lingers is how they will protect their family's privacy and peace in a place where love, heritage, and public curiosity collide in a constant, delicate dance. Rumours have been swirling about where the couple might settle next, with whispers pointing to several regions, but no official royal residence has been confirmed. The scenic Cotswolds have frequently popped up in conversations, known for their charming villages and rolling green hills, while Northamptonshire has also emerged as a strong contender. Now, if Northamptonshire were indeed the chosen spot, it would place them not too far from Althorp, the estate connected to Diana's family heritage, adding a layer of poignant symbolism to the location. But here's where things get interesting and a bit complicated. Living somewhere in the UK doesn't automatically mean the couple would receive the traditional trappings of royal life. That means no guaranteed royal duties, no official residence provided by the Crown, and most notably, no assured security detail funded by taxpayers. This security aspect has been a particularly delicate subject. Harry has taken the government to court over this very issue, arguing that when he's in the UK, the level of protection should truly reflect the risks he faces. The government, however, has maintained a different stance, creating a legal and public tug-of-war over what safety precautions are appropriate. To add to the mystery, no major palace spokesperson or official has confirmed these relocation claims. Instead, much of what's been reported comes from unnamed insiders said to be close to the couple's sources that come with natural limits on verification. This means it's essential to distinguish between confirmed information and speculative gossip. What has been officially acknowledged? Very little surrounding their next steps in Britain. Meanwhile, the spotlight is also falling on their sprawling Montecito estate in California, which they acquired back in 2020. This enormous and lavish property has recently been linked to rumors that they might be putting it on the market. The upkeep of such a grand home is massive, fueling speculation about whether financial or lifestyle changes could drive them to downsize or shift priorities. If these reports hold true, the contrast is stark and telling on one end, a vast and glamorous mansion nestled in sunny California, and on the other, a quieter, more private home somewhere near London. This potential geographic and lifestyle split paints a picture of two very different worlds, straddling the Atlantic. Their future may unfold quite differently from the chapter they wrote when stepping away from official royal roles. At the same time, Meghan has been actively searching for a place to put down roots in England, which only adds fuel to the ongoing narrative about their evolving life between two continents. Meanwhile, all eyes are also turning toward Frogmore Cottage, the former royal residence linked to their time as senior family members. There are reports circulating that officials are now discussing what will become of this home, another piece of the puzzle in understanding the couple's plans moving forward. Right now, there's a lot of talk about what could happen next with the property once occupied by Harry and Meghan. One intriguing possibility gaining traction behind the scenes is the idea of splitting the building back into two separate homes. Imagine that. A house that was once combined into an impressive, sprawling single-family residence could potentially return to its previous arrangement, two distinct units designed to serve two separate households. This would mean undoing a significant portion of the major renovation that took place just a few years ago, back in 2019. Picture the walls being moved again, the floor plans reshaped, and the space divided so that different families could each have their own slice of the estate. It's almost like hitting the rewind button after millions of pounds or dollars went into transforming the property into a grand, unified home. Of course, it's important to clarify that this is currently just one of the options being talked about, a possibility floating on the table rather than an official decision that's been locked in. It's a fascinating glimpse into how the future of this residence might unfold, but nothing is set in stone yet. Now, you might wonder, if Harry and Meghan are planning a return to the UK, why don't they just get their old keys back? The answer lies in the fact that their previous arrangement at Frogmore Cottage ended their lease or use agreement was not indefinite. With the property now empty, it doesn't automatically mean they can simply move back in. Any future occupation would require a whole new set of agreements and approvals. It's not as easy as reclaiming a home you once lived in, especially when it's a royal property with official protocols. And here's where the balcony comes back into focus, that very special balcony where Harry and Meghan made some of their most memorable public appearances. Remember the palace's statement from 2022? It emphasized that appearances on the balcony would be reserved exclusively for working members of the royal family. That phrasing is crucial. There's a clear distinction between being a member of the royal family and actually performing official royal duties. Someone can remain a family member by blood or marriage, but choose not to act as a working royal. These roles come with different expectations and privileges. Also, it's important to understand that just because Harry and Meghan contributed financially to renovation costs, it doesn't grant them ownership or rights to the property in the traditional sense. Nor does having stood on that iconic balcony guarantee they'll be invited back for another public appearance. In fact, Meghan stepped onto that balcony twice, but each time had very specific circumstances tied to her official status and the role she was playing at the time. The past does not automatically dictate the future in royal protocol, especially when it comes to property use and public engagements. At the heart of this entire saga lies a crucial and often overlooked reality. Simply stepping foot back on British soil does not automatically mean a return to royal duties. For the Sussexes, that line between living in the UK and embracing a full-time role within the royal family isn't just a formality, it's the defining distinction that changes everything. Returning to Britain is one chapter. Resuming official royal life is a completely different story. These two choices don't necessarily go hand in hand. Imagine June next year. The streets of London will be filled with the sound of marching guards. The skies alive with a spectacular flypast over the Mall, and the doors behind that iconic Buckingham Palace balcony will swing open, welcoming in the working royals. It's an image steeped in tradition, pageantry, and continuity. Yet, if the reports hold true, Meghan might not be among those standing on that balcony. Instead, she could be residing quietly, away from the public eye, in a private home just outside London, watching these regal moments unfold from a distance. This subtle yet powerful contrast is at the core of what the palace is signalling. The King's gesture, if offering a residence or just allowing their return, is about returning to the country, not reinstating the Sussexes to their previous official roles. That gap, that space between presence and participation, might be the most significant takeaway in this entire story. But there's a lingering question we haven't yet fully explored, one that could reshape everything we think about the future. If the palace balcony remains closed to Harry's family and Frogmore Cottage ceases to be their home, what exactly did Harry envision when he decided to bring his children back to Britain? What was the dream, the hope, or the vision for their life here? because the person who will likely have to answer that question isn't just King Charles, it might very well be Prince William. The dynamics of that answer could reveal volumes about the relationship between the brothers in the years to come. This unfolding story isn't just about a family or a monarchy, it's about the shifting nature of tradition, identity, and what it truly means to call a place home. What lies ahead for the Sussexes could redefine royal life itself, or it might cement their role firmly outside the palace walls. If you've been captivated by this deep dive into one of the most talked about royal stories of our time, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to stay up to date with all our latest insights and unpackings. And most importantly, I want to hear from you. What do you think Harry and Meghan's life in Britain will look like if it's outside the circle of working royals? Can they carve out a lasting, fulfilling journey beyond the palace gates? Share your thoughts down in the comments. I'm eager to hear your perspective.